Hey, how are y'all? So I wanted to talk about soulmates. I have actually talked about this before, many times, quite a bit, but it always seems to like come out in like conversations with friends, my girlfriends, just friends, people in general, we talk about like what a true soulmate like feels like. And what I have noticed is that it's always really hard for someone who has never really truly had a real soulmate in their life, as far as in a marriage or in a relationship. It's like when they have never actually experienced the love of a real true soulmate, it's almost like they have a hard time identifying or even knowing. And sometimes they kind of feel like they have like questions, like question mark, like they're not sure, right? But one of the things for sure, when you experience the love, when you experience true love, and not just true love from any old buddy, but from someone who is a real soulmate, when you experience that, like at least once in your life, that experience will become the bar to reach in your mind. Without you even realizing it or without you even knowing it, you will like unspokenly make that the reference point for you. And it's like that love that you experience with that person or whatever will be like, it's kind of like it will become the point of reference in your mind. Okay, I'm trying to explain it like that. Like, in other words, you may not even know or realize it at the time. You may not even understand what you're experiencing, but you'll just know that when it doesn't feel like that anymore, or with anyone else, or with somebody else, or when it doesn't quite have that feeling, and like something is off, it's because you experience true love with a soulmate. Because that feeling is so unique and special for each person, but it is so unique with its own like signature, like digital signature, like QR code, and so specific for each like person and couple. And it's one of those things that, but it just kind of like, you just know it. Okay, it like, you just know it. And it's really hard for you to just accept fake love. Once you have that and you've experienced that, it's hard for you to just deal with any old thing. It's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, unless you've just decided to just, give up on love or just not try to experience real love, you will have a hard time dealing with anything else or any other type of feeling, and other treatment maybe, or just feeling in general, okay? And that is if, of course, your goal is true love, soulmate type of love, if that's your real goal in a relationship. Some people enter into relationships or even marriages and whatnot for non-emotional reasons, no emotional support. Sometimes they enter into things like that for financial decisions or for other reasons, all kinds of other reasons, right? And obviously that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just really talking about like when you are really actually trying to experience, like real love. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, anyway, it's story time. Because I was chatting with a friend of mine earlier, and her and I were just talking about this and everything, and she's actually older than me, and she was actually saying how she's like, Melinda, you're so lucky because you've actually experienced that. You know what a soulmate feels like. And she's like, I feel like I've yet to actually like know and understand that feeling. To even try, like, she's like, I don't know, I don't know what that feels like. And she's like, I just hope that I get to feel that like once in my life, and I was describing it to her, and what brought it up is because it was story time, right? I was reminded of when my late husband, my first husband, Travis, his name was Travis, he and I went on our honeymoon. When we got married, we went on a cruise, and we got picked to play the newlywed game in front of like everybody, in front of like, the crowd, everybody. So there was like several of us. I think there was about 7 couples. I remember there being about 6 or 7 couples. And I remember there being a really older couple who had been married for like 30 plus years. Okay, they were older, celebrating their anniversary. And then there was like an average, like 15-year-old, I think, like 15-year married couple. They were celebrating their anniversary. And then the rest of us, like 3 or 4 other couples, were all brand new, celebrating, on our honeymoon. Okay, and so if you're not familiar with, how that game is played, it's basically where the host or whoever, they'll take you back, they'll split up you and your partner, they'll split you guys up, and they will ask you guys the same exact questions. Okay, but you're not in front of each other, so you can't know what each person is saying, right? So they will, let's just say they ask you something like something simple, like, what is your favorite condiment? Okay, and you have to put down, ketchup, mustard, barbecue sauce, whatever. Okay, so you have to answer what yours is, and then they'll ask you what is your partner's. Okay, so you have to write it down, right? Okay, so they ask you like 5 or 6 questions, whatever the game. I don't remember how many there were, but there was several of them. Anyway, so each couple gets a chance to come back together, reunite on the stage. They reunited together, and then you're asked these questions. Now you have the answers, like they're already written out right here, right? And the couples who have the same, who answer correctly, who actually answer them correctly, like for each other, when they ask the question, you get a point, right? You get a point. And so I remember though, when they asked me, I just remember when they pulled me back and they asked me these questions, I remember thinking like, this was easy. I was like, oh, these are all easy questions, right? There was one question that it was easy, and I knew what the answer was going to be, but I didn't want to tell the answer. I didn't want to speak it out. I didn't want to tell it. I did not want to, but I knew that Travis was very, more open than me, and he liked to sometimes be like the center attention and spotlight. He liked this spotlight, but I just knew he was gonna tell the truth, and I knew what his answer was gonna be, right? But anyway, so out of all the couples and everybody that was there, right? Everybody answers the questions, and one of them, I like I said, I do remember. There, a lot of them were basic questions. What is your favorite condiment? What's your favorite restaurant or something? Or like, what's your favorite date night? What are your favorite things to do on a date night? Or something like that. I don't know. But then they ask each other, right? Okay, so the main question, the very main question, like the big question, which they saved till the very end, which was where was your most interesting, I don't know if they use the word interesting or fun or something like that. Like, where was your most interesting spot that you've ever made whoopee? They use that word, made whoopee, like a real game show. Anyway, they said, where was the most, interesting, exotic, I don't know, whatever. Where was the most special place or fun place where you've ever basically made love at, right? So, here we are on a honeymoon and everything, right? And I did not want to answer that question, but I already knew what his answer was going to be, right? And the goal was to have the same answer, right? So that you could win the game. And anyway, when they come to us, the answer was JCPenney's dressing room. And I didn't want to, say it, but I just knew he was going to say that. I just knew it. Ooh. So I put it on there, but I was just hoping, I did it real small, because I was like, just in case he didn't say that, that I wouldn't have to be embarrassed, But no, he said it. He wrote it out nice and big and everything. And of course, our answers matched. And everybody cracked up laughing. And actually, we won the game. Like, we literally won the game. I have the pictures and we had the little trophy or whatever it was that they gave us. I think we won we won like a cake or something. We won some other things, like I think some credit on the ship or something like that. Anyway, so there was about 7 couples, and out of all the couples, me and Travis actually won. We won. And I found this interesting because even the older couple who'd been together forever, they didn't match. A lot of their questions did not match. They didn't match a lot of their questions. The couple had been together for like 15 years or whatever, so everybody had about maybe 1 or 2 questions that they answered the same. But like, me and Travis were, not only did we win, we were the only couple who actually answered every single question exactly the same, right on. What was this? What was that? What's your favorite? What's her favorite? Or something like that. Like, that's how they do it. And then we had the same answer. We literally had the same answer. We were literally like the same. And everybody was like, it was so crazy. First of all, from that point on, and that was like at the beginning of the cruise. It was a 7-day cruise. So like the whole rest of the cruise, we were literally known as JCPenney's, or the JCPenney's couple. Or people would come up to Travis and be like, yo, they would give him whatever dap, so talk about JCPenney's. I'll never be able to, it was like, I never could let that down. But the other thing was, it was embarrassing, but there was a lot of other, like the other couples were looking at us like, how in the world do you guys know each other so well like that? Like, how long have you guys been together? And we had, been together, for like, not quite 4 years. It's like 3 years, I think, total. 3.5 years or something like that. About 4 years, somewhere around that. But anyway, everybody was like, how did y'all, they were like, did y'all cheat? I'm like, no, we just know each other that well. And I remember thinking like, wow, like we did that. Like, we were a good team. But the reason why a lot of the answers, why I could answer, like, he could answer for me and I could answer for him, is because we were actually opposites. We were opposite. It was like for everything. It was like, it's hard to explain, but like if you know your favorite condiment is ketchup and he likes mustard, or I like mustard and he likes ketchup, and like we're like almost everything is opposite, it's not hard to actually remember, right? Because we were just so opposite. But we were also used to that. We also had been through, like we'd also been together. Like, we've been through enough things or whatever. We've been experienced stuff or whatever. And we just knew, like, he knew me that well and I knew him that well. So my point in bringing that up is, and I forgot about that. Like, I actually haven't thought about that story. I haven't thought about that in a long time. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because that's kind of what a soulmate feels like. I mean, there's so many different things that you could actually talk about, like what does it feel like, or how do you know when you're dealing with your soulmate, right? There's a lot of different things. First of all, though, from the moment that you meet your soulmate, there is a strong familiarity. They feel like family. They feel like home. They feel like love. They feel like you've known them forever. A lot of times you just have that feeling like, it's like they just click right in. Like they just click right into your life. Like they just click. It's like a click. And that's kind of what it feels like. And you kind of like, without even realizing it, you'll kind of like feel to yourself or think to yourself like, did life exist without this person? It's like you almost kind of like wonder or whatever, like they fit, you fit each other. Okay, so it's not that things are perfect, or it's not that things, or you don't have disagreements or things like that. It's not even any of that. It's that their energy kind of just fits with yours. They just kind of fit, right? You have to be, a lot of times you are opposites. A lot of times you're really the opposite. A lot of times, because your strength, whatever you're good at, they're not, they're weak at, or whatever, you know, you're weak at, they're good at. And so you balance each other out, and you kind of feel like this homeostasis when you're together. Like you'll feel inside of you, just knowing either that person is around or okay or alive, or, you know, just talking to that person, their energy, as you receive their energy, whether it be in person or over the phone or whatever, it makes you feel like if you're like this, it makes you feel like this. You just have this sense of like everything is okay. Like, to me, I always used to think about the V8 commercials, when people would be like, you know, hanging like this, walking like this, and then like as soon as they drink their V8, they go right back like that. Like, that's kind of what it feels like. Okay. A soul, like my mother always explained to me that a soulmate feels like someone who soothes your nerves. They soothe your nerves. They don't seek to make you feel crazy, but they also are not trying to soothe your nerves. They're not like trying, because they don't have to try. Them just being them, whatever the them is, whatever makes them, makes you feel soothed or at ease, or like normal, or like, yep, everything is okay and right in the world because they are here, you know, or they're whatever, like you've checked in with them, or, you know, if you're going to sleep at night or whatever, like everything feels like right. Your nervous system is not going crazy with that person. That person doesn't have to do a song and a dance, or jump through hula hoops, or bend themselves into a pretzel, or change anything about themselves. Like, they don't really have to change. They don't have to do anything. They just have to basically show up. And it's about their energy, like who they are, how they are, and just like the aura of them, like them, right? Just basically being present soothes your soul. Now, a soulmate isn't always somebody that you automatically marry, or that you automatically just get with, right? Because people have to have the circumstances to match. And there's other things that go into actually making a relationship work, right? There's a lot of other things that you have to be able to, you know, that has to line up, right? But the feeling of a soulmate, even with a friend, okay, it doesn't matter, like even in a friendship or in a love or whatever, they just, in general, they kind of just feel, they have that sense of balance. They bring that feeling in a sense of just balance, like comfort, like okay, like completeness. Maybe that's what it is. Wholeness and completeness. And it's a hard thing to really kind of really put into words as far as the feeling. But once you feel it, and once you have it once, where you know that your nervous system is soothed and calmed down, your stomach is not in knots, you're not dreading that person coming home, whatever. Like, once you know what that feels like, you don't forget it. And anything else is just subpar. It's not, it's like you know when it's not, you just know when it's not right. You just know, like, and it's almost like, if that's what you're seeking, you don't even want to waste time on somebody who doesn't actually like feel like that to you, right? Because you've had it once. But if you've never had that before and you're not sure, right, you'll go through a bunch of, you know, bad relationships or whatever, or relationships that were just not quite whatever, you know, or just kind of go through a couple things or whatever, you know, because it's like, because you're not sure. But anyway, this comes up all the time, because even with girlfriends, like I have a couple of really close girlfriends of mine, even though we're out of state or whatever, I have a few of them, like, it doesn't matter. Once we talk, we could talk. We might not talk for a while, but even if we talk like whatever, an hour, whatever, once we catch up or whatever, and we, it's just a feeling of sense of comfort and home. Is like, yeah, you know, that person is just, they feel like a part of your skin suit. They just feel like that, right? Like home. They also, if they are around you or you are near them or you get the opportunity to hang out with them, be in their house or whatever, they do bring a sense of comfort and home and stability in their presence, right? In just their presence. It's like, you know, you're like, oh, you feel like, oh, happy that, you know, they're just here. You know, like, oh, yay, they're home, or they're here, or they're coming, right? You just have a feeling in it. It's that type of a feeling. There's no anxiety. You're not feeling all this anxiety, or, you know, pent up anger, resentment, all that kind of stuff. Like, you don't really feel that way. The other thing is when you're with a soulmate, with a good love and a real soulmate, right? It's usually a very magnetic, situation. It's usually a very magnetic type of attraction. Like, you kind of feel drawn to each other, because if you think about two magnets, right? Like, two magnets, what do? They just attract. They literally just like even if they come close, like, you don't even have to, like, you know, they just gotta kind of come close. You'll start to feel the pull, right? You'll feel that pull, like, right? And it doesn't matter how much time goes by. It doesn't matter how many years go by. It don't matter anything, right? How many storms, or those two magnets will be stuck together through all kinds of storms. Like, you can imagine, like, if two magnets in a house and then there's a tornado that goes by or whatever, right? And everything might be thrown all over the place, and the two, you know, they might get thrown all over the place too, but what happens? They'll stay stuck, right? Because it's kind of like that. You can't help it, right? And so what that looks like, though, is it's kind of like, if you've ever met anybody that, you know, you get to know them and you kind of like get less attracted to them the more you get to know them. You know, I don't want to say they get uglier, but they might. If they have a bad attitude or whatever, they might get uglier. Or the more you get to know them, they get better. You feel more attracted to them. The longer you know that person, the more you get to know them or whatever, you find yourself being more attracted to that person. You find yourself feeling more in love, or feeling, you know, more curious. And it's like they grow on you even more stronger. Like, you might have been attracted to them just visually speaking when you met them. But then the more you get to know them, they literally become better looking, or prettier, or handsomer, or whatever, you know, and you find yourself always wanting to be around them. Like, you know, in other words too, like, you don't lose attraction, you grow in your attraction and your attachment, right? And so this is why I say, if you take advice from some of these online, you know, some of these online videos and different sites, and says that they'll say things like, you know, don't call him, don't talk to him, or act mysterious, or, you know, disappear, or don't be open, or, you know, if you want that person to go crazy for you, you know, you have to like pull your energy back and stuff. Like I always say, there are plenty of reasons why you might have to actually pull your energy back. There might be plenty of good reasons, right? You know, real, true reasons where that would be a healthy thing for you to do, you know, but I'm not talking about that. No, not today. What I'm talking about is, like, they'll tell you to do that to try to make that person come after you more, right? But with a true, in a real loving relationship, in a real soulmate type of relationship, you don't have to do that, because that person always wants to spend time with you. That person always wants to call you. That person always wants to talk to you. That person always wants to see you. Every morning they'll wake up and be like, oh yeah, I like you. I like that face. Or I like this warm body. You know, I like this person that I got over here. Like, they don't ever wake up and be like, oh, I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you. Like, I remember even getting into it with Travis and stuff for different things whenever we would get into it or whatever. And I might be like, you're getting on my nerves, you know, like, whatever, getting on my nerves. And I might either tell him to leave the room, or, You know, I was talking when we were young, like when you're younger or whatever, you know, like newly married or whatever. And I can remember being like, you're on my nerves. I don't want to see you, whatever. And you'll say that, right? You might say that, especially when you're young and immature. And he would, you know, maybe leave the room or whatever. But in my mind, I can remember thinking like, oh, in my mind, I might be thinking like, go away or whatever. Like I'm mad about something, go away or something. But in the very same sentence, or like within 2 or 3 seconds, I'm thinking to myself like, ooh, don't go that far. Just go over to the couch. Like, in other words, it's like, I really don't, it's like I'm saying one thing, like go away, but I'm really meaning like, don't go that far. You know, like, just go over there. I just still want to see you, you know, like, you know, it's silly almost. Like you really don't ever really need a break. Okay. So it's kind of like if you were to just pull away 100% or try to do that to a soulmate, it would actually after initially creating a little bit of confusion or whatever, it would hurt them. It would be detrimental to your relationship. It would actually hurt that person on a deep level, on a very deep level, right? And especially if they are healthy or healed or in balanced kind of person, if they're a balanced kind of person, it would cause probably a true breakup, because that person would probably think like, wow, I feel like this about them. I feel balanced at home, or I feel good, or I feel calm, or I feel the love, whatever. And it would cause them to probably question themselves and make them wonder if something is wrong with them. That the other person might be pulling back. So this is why I say, and this is why I'm going to continue to say this in a lot of my videos, do not take that advice if A, you're older and dealing with somebody mature, and B, if you're really dealing with a real soulmate. Because a real soulmate is never going to stop wanting to get to know you, or is never going to feel a sense of like boredom. Especially because a lot of times you tend to be opposites. You tend to be opposites, and you tend to like want to get into their mind. Like you kind of like always have that sense about each other, right? And the attraction is like a magnet, so it never goes away. You can't ever just make that stop if it's a real true attraction and a real soulmate type of thing, right? And to try to do play games or do stupid stuff like that would also create you know, more than confusion, but just weirdness, you know, resentment, and you know, and just a real true like it wouldn't be right. It just wouldn't work. Right now, when you're dealing with somebody, when you don't have that, right? When you don't have that, that would work on somebody else. Okay, maybe for a minute, because think about it. If you have to pull your energy back to make somebody love you more, or come after you more, or want you, and then when you get that person and you show up again, and you show up in a relationship fully 100% as yourself, maybe they don't really like you. Maybe they didn't really want you, because whatever you were initially didn't really attract that person like that. It didn't make that person want to like hang out with you more, or get with you, or be with you more, right? So for me personally, I just think it's best if you always like come from a space of being true and authentic, and showing up and being honest as to who you are, because it's best to get to know if somebody can't deal with, let's say that person doesn't like that you talk so much and you're a talker, and you try to show up like not a talker or quiet, and that person might be thinking like, I love how quiet they are, because they want somebody quiet. And then when you show up authentically yourself, it's going to cause a lot of combustion and, you know, arguments or whatever. It's just not going to be right? It's going to be, you're going to feel like you're going to have to always fake and not be yourself, right? So it's really just best to show up authentically, so you can attract somebody authentically and like a real true soulmate. But like, okay, so I wrote down a few notes so I wouldn't forget, because I did actually talk about this yesterday. I didn't want to forget some of the points that I brought out. So yeah, the feelings grow stronger the more you get to know each other. The love grows. It doesn't decrease. Your love grows. You finish each other's sentences, especially the more and more that you hang around each other and you get to be around each other, the longer you stay with a soulmate, you will start to take on their mind. Not so much that you don't have your own mind, but like you can literally like have a conversation with them and you'll know what they were going to say to you or what they would say to you, right? And so like you can kind of you'll start to finish each other's sentences. That was the reason why Travis and I had been together for almost 4 years at that point. And we were able to win that game because we were already doing that. Like we were already finishing each other's sentences. And I remember that. I absolutely remember that. And I can remember talking to him, like in my mind, just talking to him and like what he would probably say back, you know, and because like I said, because it was usually the opposite of me or whatever, right? Like it just, because we fit like this. And so it was easy to start finishing each other's sentences or just know, I'm picking the pink one, but he's going to probably pick the blue one or whatever. Okay. Let's see.